Get your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise at redbubble.com with the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. T-shirts, travel mugs, hoodies, blankets, phone cases, and much, much more. You too can even take a shower with Captain Calico Drake with a shower curtain.
This is ridiculous. How is this even possible?
That's redbubble.com and use the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. So what are you waiting for? You too can be as cool as a pirate.
Yes, of course.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures. Redbubble.com.
That I thought I would dabble in the art world myself.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures.
They'll no doubt want to pay top dollar for me service. Welcome back, WDBT Radio. That is Dead and Buried Treasures Radio. WDBT, this is the Pirate's Booty, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures. It's our official podcast. I'm Erik Sprowls, and for the next 30 minutes, we will be taking your phone calls on tonight's show. Tonight's show just ended. It's our first post-pandemic show. We had to take some time off like everybody else has done in the world. Just a pause on the show as we collected our thoughts and restructured how we were going to do things if we were going to keep this thing alive. We do want to keep it alive, so we restructured a bit on how to shoot it. The most obvious of which probably came in the pre-show this evening, as far as social distancing. You had to see it to understand it, but I wasn't actually on the set with Rich Kanji, who hosts Walk the Plank, our pre-show. And you can see how we had to do things there. But for the most part, when we restructured things, we decided that things really won't change that much. We kind of shoot it in a certain way that I'll get into it more as the show goes on tonight. And we'll explain in more detail as the next 30 minutes move on. Tonight's show is sponsored by redbubble.com. Where you can get all your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise. Hats, t-shirts, leggings, laptop sleeves, phone covers, you name it, they got it at redbubble.com. And it's also sponsored by Phoenix Comics and Toys, which is our fan club. And it's you can get your decoder statue, where you can decode secret messages that I provide to you on the show. We'll be trying to start that next month, and the fan club is underway. Newsletter, the decoder statue, a doubloon keychain, an 8x10 customized signed photo of Captain Drake and Jack.
It sounds like it's like a real bargain, it does.
So you can do all that. But the most of which for the show tonight, for the podcast tonight, is the show just ended, and the movie was D.O.A., starring Academy Award winner Edmund O'Brien. No, he didn't win an Oscar for this particular role. He won one about 4 years later for The Barefoot Contessa. But it was a good movie tonight. We had a nice plot line to coincide it, where Captain Drake had been quarantined himself like the rest of the world. So it's a very common storyline that I think everybody can relate to right now. So we want to welcome all of our viewers on our Fright Network. Excuse me. On our Fright Network. First and foremost, our flagship station. All of our viewers on BPTV Channel 7 and Verizon Channel 32 in the Pittsburgh area on Bethel Park Television. That covers a large majority of Pittsburgh. And actually almost all of Pittsburgh. Also PCTV Channel 21 in downtown Pittsburgh. The Vortex, which is the Horror Host Network, WTMC, the Monster Channel, and of course our viewers in Fayette County, welcome back. Thank you for welcoming us back to Fayette County. Obviously, we had to make some changes down there. We hadn't been on the air for a couple of months. To give you a brief backstory on that, we were on California University's television channel. We probably will be once the university's back in session, when the pandemic slows down a bit. But we had to regroup, and now we're on Fayette County TV, Channel 77. And so we are back in all of Fayette County again. So quite a number of things are going on with the show. We had a good time tonight, of course. It's our first post-pandemic show. We're here to take your calls. The queue is full, and we only have about 25 minutes remaining to do that because we want to see if we can get the Pirates Booty on PCTV this month to get it on there for the first time. So we're immediately following the actual show there as well. So let's get to our phone calls. We got phone calls from people now that we're on YouTube and the national networks like the Vortex and the Monster Channel. We get phone calls from all over. And I'm looking at our first phone call tonight, and we have Alan calling from Cincinnati, Ohio. So, Alan, how are things in Cincinnati tonight? How are things there?
Arr, me hearty.
Arr! Arr!
Hi, guys. I love your show, and I'm going to ask a question so I can hang up and actually hear the question because there's a bit of a delay on my phone.
Okay.
I was wondering how I go about getting one of the decoder statues that you have advertised with Captain Drake as part of your fan club. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about the fan club or the Etsy link or Phoenix Comics or things like that? Okay, I'm getting an echo, so I'm going to hang up because I want to be able to write this down. But it's great being able to ask a question on your show, guys. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work, Captain. Arg.
Arg. And thank you so much. That's Alan from Cincinnati, Ohio. Alan, to answer your question, you can do so by contacting Phoenix Comics and Toys. Look for them on Facebook. Look for them on Etsy. They are out of Texas, near Dallas, Texas. And they are the people really responsible for the Dead and Buried Treasures fan club. And how you get a hold of a Calico Drake decoder statue is you just contact them. The best way to do that is to Google them or Facebook or Etsy and become a member of me crew. The member of Calico Drake's crew on the Swashbucklers haunt. It's a really cool fan club. They've put a lot of work into it to make it happen. With it, I believe you get a quarterly newsletter of what's going on with the show and interviews with us. I said at the top of the hour, the 8x10 of Jack and myself signed customized photo. The doubloon keychain. You get a letter of authenticity regarding the statue. You get a whole bunch of stuff, and it's really kind of a cool fan club. And I gave it my approval. I approved this message a long time ago when I talked with the owner about it. When he shot me the demo statue or the demo decoder, I was just floored. He made this thing. It's a statue of me. It's very, very, I was very humbled by it because it was just so amazing. And that's the best way to do it. Phoenix Comics and Toys on Etsy and on Facebook. Okay, taking your calls again. The number is 412-691-3803. We'll be taking your calls here for the next 20 minutes or so. Let's get right back into the queue. This is Debbie from North Versailles. Debbie, how are things tonight?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Long-time viewer of the show, but first-time caller.
Oh, good.
You guys always do such a great job. I watch every week. Honey, even the reruns. My question is for the captain.
Okay.
Captain Drake, glad to see you're back with a new show tonight.
Glad to be here, Debbie.
With all this insanity and the pandemic and everything else that's going on now, can you elaborate more on how you'll be producing new shows, or if any, and I really hope you are, honey.
Well, thank you, Debbie. To answer your question, the best way to answer that question is to tell you what I touched upon on the top of the hour. Our show is, it's not like the old days. We have a big studio and elaborate sets and big costumes and a crew and all this other stuff. It's done a little differently with our show. I mean, we just have green screens. There's no real pirate ship. I've had a lot of people think where's this pirate ship? I'd like to see the pirate ship. No, it's not. I'm flattered by the fact that you think there is a pirate ship for those fans out there, but there's not. So I have a studio in my home that I've always shot in my segments where Jack lives and Davy Bones and all the props. And then over at my Walk the Plank, the pre-show's producer house in Cannonsburg, he has a bit of a studio there as well where we shot the Walk the Plank show. Well, it just so happens that his wife, Dana Messino Kanji, is Gertie. So whenever we need to shoot her segments, we go over to his house, shoot her stuff there. We shoot the stuff there in the studio. And Chef Papa, who's the chef on me crew, is actually Dana's father. So it's all in the family over there, and it's really nice because now that unfortunately now that the pandemic is here and we have to practice our social distancing, I can upload a script to them to read. They can shoot it there, upload it to YouTube, and I can download it on my end to edit into the show. And it's actually very nice. We have it. We've restructured things to have a little bit more organized to do that. The only thing that's really a problem is Walk the Plank, because obviously Rich and I were both on that show at the same time, simultaneously. But as you can see, what we did tonight is I had voice of, and if you haven't seen it yet, I advise you all to check it out because it was hysterical what he did. He puts me in there. We'll leave it at that. But it's really kind of, he called it creative liberty on the show, and I loved it. I thought it was hysterical. So our show hasn't really changed that much in terms of technicalities, but that's kind of how we produce it now. And then I edit most of it together here. He edits Walk the Plank there. And of course, I do the podcast here at my home too in the studio. So things won't really change. We just needed to put the show on pause for a couple of months while we restructured things ourselves. And we're getting back into the swing of things right now. 412-691-3803, WDBT, Dead and Buried Treasures Radio, Pirate Radio. You're listening to the Pirate's Booty on our Fright Network. You can hear my clock in the background striking the sound of the quarter of the hour since the show has been off the air. We're talking about DOA that aired this evening. And next we have Skip calling from Mount Washington. Skip, what can I do for you tonight?
Hey, Captain.
Hey!
I was wondering if you were going to get back to doing those monster movies. With actual monsters, like Godzilla or Frankenstein or anything like that.
Right.
How do you consider DOA a monster movie? When we watch it every week here at the house, it's like a required viewing.
Oh, good.
But will we be seeing any monsters soon? I hope so. Love you guys.
Well, as a matter of fact, you will be seeing some monsters coming up. I consider DOA not a monster movie. I never said it was a monster movie. I said it was a horror film. And, originally our movie for tonight, as luck would have it, was supposed to be The Last Man on Earth. But I felt, considering the subject and all the people were panicking over toilet paper, and still continue to panic over paper towels and hand sanitizer, I said, I don't think that's a good one to show. Some other horror hosts have done it. It's just a matter of taste, I guess. But I went with DOA, and I thought it was kind of fun because it's an adventure film. And it is kind of a horror film. I mean, if you get poisoned, you have 24 hours to live. It is a horror, I would think. A lot of times, I think the world has become too desensitized to subject matter or content. And they're like, they're just used to that. But it really is kind of horrific. So that's why I went with DOA. But sure enough, we are returning to monsters. In fact, next month we do the Ghoul. with Boris Karloff. Destroy All Planets is right down the pike. We have a Jack the Ripper movie we've been promoting for a couple of months, and for one reason or another we haven't been able to get to just yet. That's around the corner. So we have a lot of good monster movies and excitement coming up in the months ahead. So, next, that's 412-691-3803. That's WDBT, The Pirate's Booty, taking your booty calls for the rest of the night, for the next 15 minutes, that is. Tony from Dormont has a question. How you doing, Tony?
Hey, happy anniversary, guys. You guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Here's 2 movies I think you should add to your repertoire of horror movies.
Okay.
Suspense.
All right.
One is called The Attack of the Animal People. It's pretty good. It's a classic one from Children's Theater. And the other one is called The Resurrection of Zachary Wheeler with Bradford Dillman.
All right.
So those 2 movies they're very good movies. I've seen them both, and I know your viewers will be watching them too.
Well, I tell you what, I like the recommendations. I'll take a look at them, but just for clarification, I think you mean Invasion of the Animal People, not Attack of the Animal People. And it came out in 1961, I believe. And I think The Resurrection of Zachary Wheeler is another one I do believe is available through Retro Film Classics, so I know for a fact that one is public domain. I have to check on the other one for you, but we'll do our best. I love film recommendations, especially when it comes from the fans. I will check on these films to make sure that they are available, and if they are, we'll get them on the show. 412-691-3803 is the number for WDBT, The Pirate's Booty. And next we have Steve from Butler on the phone tonight. Steve, how are things?
Hi, guys. Big fan of the show.
Thank you.
I love the Pirates theme. It's a lot of fun. I remember you guys showing a Barbara Steele film back in February.
Right.
It ran for some time. Will you be doing any more Barbara Steele films?
Well, I think I would love to. I mean, I'm a big fan of Barbara Steele, obviously. She's a very sexy woman, and most of the films that she did were horror-related. The movie we hosted back in February was The Long Hair of Death, and to be honest with you, it's hard with Barbara Steele. No pun intended. But it's hard to host a good Barbara Steele film, and I'll tell you why. Most of her films, if not all, are public domain, and I say that in America. Unfortunately, she is a star of the Italian cinema, so they are copyrighted in Italy. So when we host a movie on the show, we want it to be in a package. So we host it so it's available, so we can see it everywhere on our Fright Network, on PCTV, BPTV, Fayette County TV, CUTV, the Monster Channel, the Vortex, YouTube, everything, right? Unfortunately, YouTube is not just an American medium. It is a worldwide medium. So when we put the movie on YouTube, even though it's public domain here in the States and on BPTV and locally, when we go to Stockpile it, where we always save our shows on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, YouTube bounces it back and says this movie cannot be done. Somebody owns it. And they do in Italy. So obviously we don't want to step on their toes. So originally the movie we were going to do in February was Black Sunday. That didn't work because it was copyrighted. Then we said, so I had to re-edit the whole thing again. Then I said, okay, how about this? I saw that Nightmare Castle was available. I said, okay, we'll do that. So we put that on there. Dun, da, 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 and YouTube said, nope, that's not available either. I'm like, oh, God. So I had to re-edit the whole movie again. So I double-checked on The Long Hair of Death. They said, okay, we can let you have this one. We'll let you use it. I said, okay, but it was copywriting, but they kind of felt our pain in Italy, and they said, we love the fact that you're doing all this retrospective of Barbara Steele, and so they let us do it. I'd love to do Barbara Steele films. I know she does. I love Terror Creatures from the Grave. I did not like She-Beast, but most of her black and white stuff is top-notch. Haunted, the Nightmare Castle, there was another castle movie where a reporter spends the night in a castle and meets her as a ghost, and he has to keep reliving all the murders that took place in the castle. There's a lot of good stuff on there. And I would love to do it. It depends if we get the opportunity, and if they allow us, really, to be honest. So we'll see what we can do. 412-691-3803, WDBT Pirates Radio. We only have about 10 minutes left here. We're going to take a few more calls. Sorry we're rushing about this tonight, but we wanted to try to get at least one episode on PCTV, so we're going to see if this works out. Looks like we have another call from Carnegie. Stephanie from Carnegie. How are you tonight, Stephanie?
Hi, Eric.
Hi, how are you?
I, like some of your viewers, live in Pittsburgh, but from what I see, not all of your viewers live here since you're on several networks now.
That's true.
But I live in Pittsburgh, not too far from the Carnegie Science Center.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of history and mummies and things like that, and I was just wondering, you advertised back in February that your next show was going to be a special focusing on the mummy exhibit at the Carnegie Science Center.
That's right,
which
yeah.
I adore. Will you still be bringing us that show? Is the exhibit still in place? Will you still be doing that movie? I guess technically it was supposed to be tonight's movie, but it got switched to DOA.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Really good chatting with you. Thanks.
Yeah, it did. It got switched to DOA. Originally, tonight's movie was supposed to be The Ghoul with Boris Karloff, and the Carnegie Science Center had a mummy exhibit back in, for the last few months prior to the pandemic. So we were going to do that episode and that movie, and everything was going to be great. And then the pandemic hit. And let me answer your first question. Is the exhibit still there? We don't know. The last I talked to the people over at the Carnegie Science Center, the pandemic came along, they had to close down, and I think that's over. I think they're just going to call it and move on. But again, double check with them. Call the Carnegie Science Center and ask. As far as I know, the exhibit is now closed, and it's over. Even if they reopen, I don't think they're going to still have the exhibit there. But we will still be bringing you, in fact, that's our next episode. We still had everything shot prior to the pandemic, and it's almost kind of like a lost episode, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to air it next month. So it does have Boris Karloff. We do have footage from the Carnegie Science Center. We do have footage from the mummy exhibit, and it's a good one. It's a really good one that has a lot of references to not only the classic mummy movie with Karloff, but the current mummy movie with Brendan Fraser. Current, I guess that's not the right word. More current, I guess, because the most current would be the Tom Cruise one. But so we're coming up, and we're going to be doing that one as well. All right, so 412-691-3803 is the number. WDBT, The Pirate's Booty, the official podcast and after show of Dead and Buried Treasures. We have another call tonight coming in from Fayette County. Is that correct? Fayette County? We're not on in Fayette County. We're going to take it anyway. Okay, we have a call from Fayette County. How's things in Fayette County tonight?
Hey, Captain Drake. I'm a big fan of the show.
Good.
I really miss it here in Fayette County, but I saw on Facebook that you have episodes running, and you have some reruns going.
Yeah.
Producing some new ones, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
What happened to the audience in Fayette County? Is it because the university is closed and the college TV channel is down?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what it's all about right now. Because we also aired our show on California University of Pennsylvania's award-winning television channel, Channel 62 in Fayette County, that covered Atlantic broadband, and parts of Washington County as well. Well, when the pandemic happened and the school closed down, no one's allowed to be at the TV station, so they can't air our show anymore. It's not automated. It's manually run with students. So we lost our Fayette County audience back in early March, I think. So we were in the talks, and I can announce tonight, for the first time, that we will be seen on Fayette County TV, Channel 77, starting within the next month. We won't be with this episode. They're going to start it from the very beginning and so show some of our older episodes. I think. I'm fairly sure of that. That might change with current episodes because they're not really linked, so we might show current stuff on there as well. But anyway, the announcement is nice because we're on Channel 77. We will be seen on Atlantic Broadband once again in all of Fayette County until and we're going to continue to be seen there in addition to when California University gets up and running again. So when they get up and running again, you'll see us on twice in Fayette County. So it's double your pleasure, double your fun, right? Like spearmint gum. Anybody old enough to remember those the double mint twins on there? Yeah, the spearmint gum and double mint spearmint gum. So yeah, we will be seeing on both venues. So we have it's a WDBT radio. Don't look at that. No. He's at the... No. Not like that. He's giving me looks like, who's these Doublemint twins? I'm old, okay? I play a pirate captain that's 500 years old. You know, I think I know what I'm talking about. We have time for one more call this evening. And this call is going to be from Paul... from Burgettstown. Paul, how's things in Burgettstown tonight?
Hi, Captain Drake.
Hi.
Love the show.
Thank you.
It's really very entertaining. And I'm really glad to see that by the sound of it at least, the pandemic did not cancel your show.
No.
But I was wondering if you could elaborate a bit on how you're able to produce new stuff. While, for example, you know, actors in Hollywood working on movies and other TV shows cannot.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hang up and listen to your answer. Thank you very much.
Well, we touched on this a little bit earlier in the show from another caller, Paul. And to answer your question, we're not like actors in Hollywood or people that work on actual movies and things of that nature. There's unions for them. There's actual contracts involved. There's a lot of crew members involved at the same time. There's a lot of people, you know, involved in that kind of thing. So there's a lot of moving parts when you deal with movies and television and things like that. And we have the luxury of not having to deal with that because my studio's in my home. And the studio for Walk the Plank, for my producer, Rich Kanji, who hosts that show, is in his home. And we can produce the shows out of our corresponding homes, talk about it, and have meetings through Zoom and Facebook and over the phone, obviously, about what we're going to do. Dana, who plays Gertie, Dirty Gertie, Professor Gertie on the show, is his wife, so he can shoot all of her stuff against a green screen in his studio. And Chef Papa, who's the chef on the show, is his father-in-law, her father, so he can cook over at the house. So, and where they shoot it, obviously, it's all self-contained. And as for me, my characters are animatronics, you know, puppets and, you know, Davy Bones and Jack the Parrot, or Jack the Cockatoo. So,
and I voice all of that kind of stuff here. And I say I voice Davy Bones too, so I can do all that stuff here in my studio.
He uploads the stuff he shoots on YouTube to a private channel. I download it on my end, and I can edit it into the show, and that's how we're able to continue forward. And it's also a real love of the art, as you can imagine. So we touched on that earlier. We're going to continue to keep the show going. Hopefully the pandemic doesn't last too much longer. At least things can calm down, but I don't know what that's going to bring over the next few months. Maybe we might have to live with it. It might be the new flu. Who knows? I hopefully it won't have to be like that. But the one thing I decided on when Rich and I decided to continue with the show going forward is, you know, a lot of things have to be done for the pandemic, obviously. People are on the front lines. People put their lives on the line every day. I was a college professor, so I don't teach anymore, so I have to teach online, things like that. Everybody does their own individual things. The least I can do with this show is try to make people laugh. Try to make people forget about this just for 3-4 hours on a Friday or a Saturday night, a weekend, late at night, eating some popcorn, watch a cheesy movie, and have some laughs. It's the least I can do to give back to the community, which ain't much. But one last thing before we go tonight, I want to thank everybody for all their help, everybody who helped put this show together, my producer, the people here, the affiliates, everybody who helps. I want to remind you that if you go to redbubble.com, who is sponsoring our show tonight, 100% of the profits made for that show are donated to the local animal shelters or the local ASPCA. So please go to Redbubble, buy a coffee mug, so we can donate some money. Every little bit helps. Everybody's donating to the front lines for the doctors, and that's a very valiant effort, obviously. But during this pandemic, people forget about dogs and cats and adopting pets and things of that nature, and I'm trying to have my own campaign keep those places afloat, especially here in Washington County, near one of the hot zones. Even though we're in the yellow now, we don't know how long that'll last. It's a very uncertain time, obviously. So please buy some stuff from redbubble.com. Again, 100% of the profits will be donated to the local animal shelters. Thanks again for everybody for listening tonight. Tonight's movie was DOA. We will see you next month with The Ghoul with Boris Karloff. Special thanks to Phoenix Comics and Toys, our other sponsor of the show, and Redbubble. Hey, we did it in 30 minutes, and this will be our first broadcast on PCTV with any luck. Take care of yourselves, everyone. It's a pirate's life for me, unfortunately. We'll see you next month. Good night.
Don't miss the absolute worst in monster movie mayhem on Dead and Buried Treasures.
Captain, we should be recording this.
Jack, we should be recording.
This weekend and every Friday and Saturday night at 11 with our pre-show live at 10:30 on this Fright Network affiliate and our Facebook and YouTube pages, if you dare.
Is it wrong that I want their autograph?
Don't you wish you had a time machine? Because if you're enjoying Dead and Buried Treasures now while stuffing your face with that cheese popcorn, you could have gone back to the beginning of the night and enjoyed our pre-show as well. Walk the Plank. Walk the Plank takes you behind the scenes with series creator Erik Sprowls, Captain Calico Drake himself, as he reveals thrifty, low-budget special effects and how the show is made. Behind the scenes. Plus, host Rich Kanji takes your phone calls where you can ask your questions to the captain about upcoming shows as they gear you for the night ahead. So that time machine might have come in handy. Instead, you bought that ice cream maker that's collecting dust in the kitchen because your kids just had to have Dairy Queen and now you're paying the price. But if you remember next time, you too can watch Walk the Plank, the pre-show for Dead and Buried Treasures, and it's on about a half hour before the captain is. Plus, you can win free stuff. Just think about it, which is exactly what you should have done with that ice cream maker.
Don't miss Walk the Plank, the sister show of Dead and Buried Treasures, as it gears you up for the night ahead, 1/2 hour before Dead and Buried Treasures on most local affiliates.